Okay. Hello, how are you? This is Ahmed Ragab from the Academic Professional Training, and today we're going to talk about Unit 1 and 2 from Book 4. Now, when you reach this, actually Book 1, Book 4, that means you're a high level now. So this is level 10, okay? So, if we're talking about level 10, previous levels we've studied lots of things, and I say this a lot, okay? Now, I want you to keep in mind something important. Now, what you study is not about something you study for the exam and after the exam you forget everything. No, this is not studying. We've agreed before that English is not about studying. English is about what? Very nice. It's about practicing. So practicing, that means like you need to practice English, not study English. Treat it as a language. Don't treat it as, for example, something you study for exams, like the school, like the college, or something like that. So you need to work on practicing English. So how do we practice it? The first thing we said about practicing English is I have to listen a lot. I have to listen to a lot of English, I have to listen to a lot of conversations and other things. All of these things are going to help you eventually to improve yourselves in English. Meaning, now let's say for example I've watched this movie before. Now try to watch it again with English subtitles. Why? It helps you a lot. It helps you to understand like some things. It helps you to learn some new English and other things. Okay? Now, pay attention to this. Like for example, what are the things, like that's the question. What are the things that I should actually watch? Okay? Now, so you have lots of things. Depends on what you want. Okay? Let me tell you something. Let's watch a small series with English subtitles. Let's get to know what are we talking about, and this is what we mean. Okay? So let's start our session by watch this funny series. Okay?
So I just talked to one of the dual writers today, and
What is dual?
Days of Our Lives. Anyway, you're not going to believe it. My character is coming out of his coma.
Oh, that's right.
And not only that, I'm getting a new brain.
So great things are happening at work and in your personal life.
Wait, what do you mean you're getting a new brain?
Oh, well, they're killing off one of the characters on the show, and when she dies, her brain is being transplanted into my body.
What? A brain transplant? It's ridiculous.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that you haven't had sex in 3.5 months.
It's winter. There are fewer people on the street.
Who are they killing off?
Cecilia Monroe, she plays Jessica Lockhart.
No! She is so good at throwing drinks in people's faces. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen her finish a beverage. And the way she slaps people all the time. Wouldn't you love to do that just once?
Don't do it.
And she's been on the show forever. It's going to be really hard to fill her shoes.
Yeah, well, help me out here. When you come out of the
Brain transplant.
you are going to be her?
Yes, but in Drake Ramore's body. Why is it so hard for you to get? I thought you were a scientist.
So this was an example from what I was saying. I was saying that you have to watch some things with English subtitles. Now, how to get these things? Now, you can download movies. If you can download movies and you can actually upload the subtitles for them, that's a nice thing. Also, you can open YouTube, write whatever you want, and write English subtitles. Okay, English subtitles, and you'll find lots of things on YouTube actually with English subtitles are going to help you. Okay? Now, something like that. So that's a small part, 1.5 minutes from a series. Like, it's a famous series in USA, it's called Friends. That series is talking about young people issues and other things. Okay? So it's a nice idea of learning English, by the way. That series, I recommend myself to watch that series. Why? That series has like, okay, English nowadays, English young people are talking, okay, sometimes like the father and the mother are talking, and lots of things. So all these things are in this series. And we have lots of series. And we have the funny series, we have like the soap operas, and we have lots of things. Choose whatever you like in English and try to find something like you want to do with it. Okay? So So to continue our session, so we said like we have to listen a lot. We have to watch lots of movies. We have to watch lots of things. Lots of things, like watching lots of things is important. Watching lots of things is somehow, you know, let me tell you about this. Now, I have like a friend, he is in love with music. He loves music very much. He listens to lots of songs. He listens to like all the new songs and other things. And he listens to songs with lyrics, like as we used to do and we're doing nowadays. So he's listening to songs with lyrics. So, okay, now what will happen? Like, okay, yes, I'll tell you. Now, when you listen to a song with lyrics, you try to learn new stuff. You try to learn new vocabulary and lots of things. So that friend of mine, he speaks English without visiting the place in there. He has never visited USA, but he speaks technically like them. So how can you be like this? Okay. How can you speak a language for other people without visiting them? Now, it's about practice. It's about like I'm working on myself. It's the same idea of speaking anything, learning anything. Lots of people learn how to, like, for example, be a famous actor without traveling abroad. Be a famous singer without traveling abroad. So you can learn anything by yourself, especially the language. The language is a nice thing, okay? Me, myself, I've been taking like a course in Italian language, and I've started also a course sequence with that in Spanish. I need to enhance myself. So always try to find something you're good at and try to enhance it, okay? So that's the thing. So again, to learn English, I have to listen a lot, okay? Now, let's start our session by this question and tell me, what have you been up to? Now, so what have you been up to? What are your new updates? What are the new things in your life, okay? So tell me, like, what's new? Are you married? Are you engaged? Do you have a baby? Do you work a new job? Okay. You're busy at work nowadays. You're taking a new course. Lots of things. You can talk about any updates you have. So try to think about any updates and try to fill me up with them. And in this session, we will actually speak about lots of things are important to us. We will recap lots of things. Meaning we will recap, like in this session, we will explain something. We've explained before, just a recap, and try to understand that thing. Then we will take an exercise about like that thing, okay? So first, let's start by today's topic, the news. Now, what's the meaning of the news? Okay, the news is everything happening on TV I can watch and it can help me and all of these things. So let's say, for example, today someone was a president. Someone became a president. So in the news we have some people like writing, okay, someone became a president. Okay. Now, so for example, a football team won in a match. Found it in the sports news. So news, all the things that happen around us, we can take them, get them from the news. Okay. Now the question here is like this. What are the kinds and the types of the news? Now, let's watch this video about types of news, then we come back. introduction for us and actually introducing types of news. Okay? Now, we have lots of kinds of things that can actually bring us the news. We have the newspaper, or we can call it the paper. Okay? Newspaper or paper. Of course, the newspaper, I open it and I find the news. Also, we have a magazine. From the magazine as well, I can get some information, some news. Also, I can get it from the TV. Also, I can get it from the internet. So the internet as well is a source for news. So all of these are sources for news. So pay attention to this. I can get news from everywhere. Now, if we're talking about the TV channels, let's watch this about TV channels and discuss it, talking about it. In the TV channels, you know what's the reporters? The reporters. For the TV channels, they try to actually tell us about the news and everything. And, yeah, they have funny stuff happen in the TV channel. So, let's see what did these two do.
Christina, how are we doing on time? Boing. Bing. Huh? Hey. She's whispering. Tell her that. Pick it up. Yeah.
That's enough from these two funny people. So these are who? These are announcers in the TV. They announce the news, and they actually do that in a break. When you have a break for an ad or something like that, so they do that. Okay. Now let's see this. In the announcers, that place in the TV channel, what happens? What are the types of news in there? So let's open it and find that through this video.
A reader. A reader is a 10 to 15 second story that the news anchor reads. Well, there's usually some kind of graphic that appears over his shoulder, or a full screen graphic of a map or quote, or a still picture a viewer sent in because the station was too late getting to the story.
Then comes the VO. That stands for voiceover, which is a 25 to 35 second story. The text is written by a reporter and read by the anchor, while video of the story or event are shown on the screen. A VOSOT is an extension of the VO. That stands for voice over sound on tape. It begins like a VO, But when the anchor gets to the end of the first block of text, the master control guy switches to a second tape that contains
a short interview with someone who saw what happened, someone who knows someone that this happened to, and is willing to talk on camera.
After the soundbite, more video follows, allowing the anchor to wrap up the story.
And finally, there's the package. This is a 1.5 to 2.5 minute story written and thrown together by the reporter. Maggie?
It's usually introduced by the reporter on location with a live shot. The reporter introduces the story, then they roll tape. B-roll or secondary footage plays while the reporter narrates the story. Often it consists of a stand-up, which is the reporter on camera saying he or she was somewhere when something happened and you weren't. As you can see here, the dead cat mauled by the ferocious dog. And just behind me, the child who sits crying, broken-hearted, over the loss of his best friend.
The package also contains more than one soundbite, usually coming from more than one person.
This person either saw what happened, was involved in the incident, or just told the reporter that so they could get on TV. Woohoo! Hi, Mom!
When the tape is finished, they cut back to the reporter standing outside a burning building, a sinking ship, or something dramatic like that.
Dead cat, mauled at the paws of a ferocious beast. Steve, Sally.
Thank you for that report, Maggie.
From beloved pets to patriotic fish, Samantha Gordon is live on the island to tell us about a new government program, making our beaches safer for our kids. Samantha?
Relics of the Cold War are still with us, and those relics could have disastrous consequences. Many times our children are free to roam our beaches. They're safe for the most part. But a new program is showing us that they aren't as safe as we once believed. Now these mines are hundreds of miles from the coast, most of them not even active. But if one of these mines were actually able to break free and get caught in one of our main ocean's currents, these explosive devices could land right on our front doorstep.
At this point, the reporter takes a 5 to 10 minute interview with the person who knows what they're talking about and takes the valuable and informative facts that this well-informed person has and cuts it down to a 5 to 10 second sound bite.
And that's what the United States Navy will be doing with the dolphins that don't explode in the mine disarming program. Back to you at the studio.
Then the anchor asks the reporter a question. She acts surprised, yet still skillfully answers the question. Interesting, Samantha. So what do the dolphins eat?
That's a very interesting question, Sally. I talked to the trainer earlier, and they actually... I thought you could ask me what the dolphins eat.
I'm not going to ask what dolphins eat.
Why the hell not?
Because it's a ridiculous question. Who gives a flying rat shit what dolphins eat? And don't tell me they eat fish.
Well, they do.
That's disgusting. Fish eating fish? Now that's kin to cannibalism. Look, people do not want to hear about cannibalism before they go to bed, Samantha.
A dolphin is a mammal, Steve. It's not a cannibal if it eats a fish.
Well, if you're so damn smart, why don't you ask the stupid-ass question then?
Fine. Tell Samantha I'll ask the damn question.
Samantha, you still there?
Yes, Steve.
Okay, Sally's going to ask you a ridiculous question about fish because her crotch smells like it.
Oh, that's nice, Steve. That's really nice.
So, after this video, so what do we have? What do we have new words? So we have, for example, TV, channel, we have also anchor. Anchor is who? The announcer, who actually talks about the news. Now let's talk about the types of news and let's see them here. Now let's start with the first one here. The first news that we talk about is business related to money. Like for example, EU agrees 1.8 billion euro loan to cash-strapped Ukraine. Okay, now what's that? Like they have agreed. So that's something related to economy and money. Something like related to financial issues. Okay, something like this.
Good Thursday morning to you. Quiet week so far, and we'll take it. Kind of a summer pattern. Not a whole lot of trading going on. Not a whole lot of
Good Thursday morning to you. Quiet week so far, and we'll take
data to push the market around one way or the other. We do have news about Lumber Liquidators, this embattled company. There's been some concern about what's going to happen to their CEO. Would the board push him out, or would he leave? Well, it turns out that maybe he left, because in the news release put out by the company, it said unexpectedly the current CEO has decided to resign, and the new CEO will be Tom Sullivan. Not that Tom Sullivan, Thomas Sullivan, who actually founded Lumber Liquidators many years ago. He is coming back to run his company as they work their way through some of the product issues that dogged them in that 60 Minutes report. In terms of the labor markets, initial jobless claims up by 10,000, but still right near, I should say, a 15-year low. So the labor markets continue to do well. Early on in the trading day, 30 minutes into trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is slightly negative. The NASDAQ and S&P are slightly in the green. That's a look at your money. I'm KCRA 3 Money expert Kelly Brothers.
There's been some concern about what's going to happen to their CEO. Would the board push him out, or would he leave?
Good Thursday morning to you. Quiet week so far, and we'll take it. Kind of a summer pattern. Not a whole lot of trading going on. Not a whole lot of data to push the market around one way or the other. We do have news about Lumber Liquidators, this embattled company. There's been some concern about what's going to happen to their CEO. Would the board push him out, or would he leave? Well, it turns out that maybe he left, because in the news release put out by the company, it said unexpectedly the current CEO has decided to resign, and the new CEO will be Tom Sullivan. Not that Tom Sullivan, Thomas Sullivan, who actually founded Lumber Liquidators many years ago. He is coming back to run his company as they work their way through some of the product issues that dogged them in that 60 Minutes.
Okay, so this was an example business. So he was talking about financial issues, a company sold something and other things. So that's a part of the news. Now let's go next. Health. Anything related to health and what's happening to your life. Like for example, quarter of skin cells on road to cancer. So that's something related to disease, which is cancer. Or maybe actually it's going to be something like this.
Industrial complex, but there's a system that's pumping money into corporations while harming average Americans. Another system that some refer to as the obesity industrial complex. And it's this system that contributes to the obesity epidemic in the U.S. So while the health and well-being of Americans suffers, who is benefiting? Well, as you'll see, big corporations are raking in the dough from the fattening of America. And not only are politicians not stopping it, it seems they're feeding the problem.
Listen, we're broke. And we need to stop the out-of-control spending spree that's going on in Washington, D.C.
As the debate over cutting government spending rages on, billions of taxpayer dollars wasted each year on junk food. Between 1995 and 2010, over $250 billion was spent on subsidizing foods that are making Americans fat.
74% of all the subsidies go to just 10% of the agribusinesses. These are not the small farms.
Public funds go to agri-giants like Monsanto. The company produces genetically modified seeds and claims more than 93% of soybean and 80% of the corn market in the U.S. But this is not what Americans are consuming. The crops are turned into products like high fructose corn syrup, which end up in most processed foods. The effect on American health is devastating. 75% of Americans are now overweight, and advertisers today target kids. The most important part of the McDonald's Happy Meal is you.
Hey, Superman, this is kryptonite for us.
The result, 1 in 5 kids in America are obese.
They like sweets, and they like all the additives that are added to fast foods and sodas and snacks.
Meanwhile, corporations are profiting from the fattening of America. They spend millions each year lobbying Congress to uphold policies that keep the big businesses profitable. David Rosen calls the system the obesity industrial complex.
That the system is essentially, it's a pay-to-play system, and if you can pay to support your local congressman or senator, you have a stronger opportunity to both not only influence the laws that are passed, but actually draft the laws.
Like Congress recently declaring pizza a vegetable.
Agribusinesses spend a lot of money lobbying on Capitol Hill and making sure that the funding is going towards things that are going to drive down the products of the most profitable products.
Also cashing in on the fattening of America, pharmaceutical companies. The U.S. spends $147 billion each year treating obesity-related illnesses. Countries from China to Hungary require labeling of GMO foods, but with the power of corporations and lobbyists to influence politics, no such laws exist in the U.S. today. In Washington, Liz Wall, RT.
This was an example for news for health. Okay?